Jerusalem is a ghost town, or so says the mayor of Jerusalem. He's a secular mayor, and he just replaced an ultra-religious mayor who apparently was giving licenses for these contractors to build these super luxurious apartments, and none of the locals could afford them, but the contractors got a lot of money, and they use them once a year or once every couple years, and they don't rent it out to anybody. So the mayor's proposing to require people that buy apartments and are not here for a certain amount of time are required to rent it out, so there will be room to live. And or we could require that these contractors actually build homes for locals, and you can throw in a few luxury apartments if you want. But Jerusalem, I think, as much as it is an international city, should focus on locals, because if there's no locals, there's no Jerusalem. And speaking of Jerusalem, which is never shy of controversy, they're proposing in the government to create a new halakha-based law. Okay, that being rabbinical interpretation of scripture now being applied into modern Israel law. Now, I personally think it would be awesome to live under Sharia law, halakha law, in the land of my forefathers. Having the secret police follow my kids home and punish them the next day at school because they were caught looking in the store windows, I just salivate at the thought of it. Nonetheless, I think we would be better off with secular law and just leave the Bible law thing for Judgment Day. A new study has come out that says that Israeli kids are the most uneducated in the industrialized world. That means that we are more educated than countries that offer little or no education at all. At the same time, you might be wondering why we as a nation are so successful and have such groundbreaking technology. The reason for that is because we actually do have people that score very high in the standardized tests, but the gap between them and the majority of the public school students who scored very low was so high that the average was the lowest. The article actually said that our average could have been lower if we had actually included the religious schools who refused to take the test completely. The reason they could have been lower is not because religious people are stupid, but because the educational system does not include standardized subjects. However, they say that religious schools are actually quite good in the subjects that they do teach, partly because the teachers are highly motivated. They feel like they are doing God's work and passing on knowledge and wisdom to the next generation, and partly because the schools are said to be heavily subsidized by the government, whereas secular teachers make horrible pay and have a hard time caring with all 40 students in their class. Turkey is airing this retarded series that is depicting Israelis as child murderers and baby snatchers. And so the Israeli deputy foreign minister, Ayalon, calls up the Turkish ambassador to sit down and meeting with him. And the meeting should have been about this retarded film. But what happens is Ayalon has the Turkish ambassador sit in a lower chair than them and only puts the Israeli flag on the desk and doesn't shake his hand on camera. And his comments are aired on TV saying, have him sit in the lower chair, or don't show the Turkish flag. So this whole controversy becomes over the mistreatment of the Turkish ambassador instead of this stupid movie. So this is what happens. Israelis are not baby killers, but we are rude. And so people are offended by the rudeness and then are willing to believe all sorts of ridiculous things about us. And so now the controversy, instead of Turkey doing something about this dumb film, we're apologizing for putting them in the shorter chair.